By your attendance here this morning, you are indicating your shared agreement in the importance and the benefits of lifelong learning. Your passion to continue to explore the topic of leadership is an inspiration to our students, our staff, and our faculty, and we thank you for being here this morning. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Giv Severson, a 1974 Automotive Service Technology alumni.
Welcome to our C. Charles Jackson Leadership Lecture Series program. It's my pleasure today to introduce Joel Moryn. Joel was President and CEO of Parsons Electric. In 1981, Joel started at Parsons part-time in the shop while pursuing his Bachelor's of Science in Electrical Engineering from the University of Minnesota. At that time, Parsons was a small company with a few $1 million in sales. Today, Parsons is one of the largest electrical and technology specialty contractors in the United States, employing nearly 1,000 field electricians and technicians. Joel holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from the University of Minnesota and an MBA from the University of St. Thomas. He's a professional engineer in 40 states. Please join me in welcoming Joel Moryn.
Well, good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Gosh, those who know me really well know I don't get up very early in the morning, so this is a big deal for me. Be glad that we're getting started here. The title of my presentation today is Leading Through Crisis. This crisis happened a long time ago, frankly, so we had to kind of remember it. We tried to put it out of our minds many times. And you know, the way it looked to a lot of people is probably different than the way it actually was. So there might be, we've got some folks from Parsons here today. Thank you for being here, all of you, both from our field and office. And so they don't even probably know the truth completely, some of them. So, but the way it looks, the way it looks to you on the outside sometimes is a little bit different than the way it feels on the inside. So let me get started. I'm going to start at the beginning. This is our building down on 917 Fifth Avenue South, right as you come off the freeway. Parsons started in 1927, a long time ago, as a motor rewind shop. And if you know, 1927, electricity was fairly new to the country, but the Industrial Revolution was pretty much underway, and that was a big thing, and we were pretty good at it. A Dunwoody alumnus, Don Dolan, bought the business in 1978. And he was 1964, so he was honored here as a Dunwoody Entrepreneur Award in 1997. But that's when the disk drive was invented, the floppy disk. A lot of folks, we were talking to some of our folks in marketing, were 11 years old when this crisis happened. So I'm pretty sure there's students in the room here that don't even know what a floppy disk is. But again, and it still took us about 8 years to get our first floppy disk at Parsons. So, that was a big turning point for Parsons. We're only $1.5 million in sales, which wasn't a lot of money then either. We're a pretty small company. I started, that's a picture of me, in 1981. Haven't changed a bit. You know, you go to class reunion and people go, you haven't changed a bit. And here's a quick short story about how I got to work there. Don Dolan was a family friend. My brother Jim worked there in the motor shop. And I just needed a job. I was going to school and I didn't have 10 cents, literally. And I just started hanging out there, helping out, doing whatever. Jim hired me. I thought, wow, I got a job. I worked for about a month, hadn't been paid. And I said, you know, Jim, what's going on, you know? And then finally Don comes up to Jim and says, why is your little brother hanging around here all the time? And he said, well, I hired him. You did? So that was actually how I got a job at Parsons. I kind of forced my way in. The good news is, I didn't have any intentions to stay. I thought it was an opportunity for me to make a few dollars a day for school. Back then, college cost $500 a year, which I never thought I would, or $500 a quarter, I'm sorry, $1,500 a year. That wasn't a lot of money then either. So, shortly thereafter, Don built the second floor, and I was the one cleaning up after the construction company, Kraus Anderson, they had their second floor. So that's the same building as the one in the first picture. I think Steve Stone, who I don't know if Steve's here today, but Steve was the vice president owner of Parsons, recently retired. His son's here, works for us, Corey. I think that's his van out front. Steve had a great career with us. And we added the second floor, and we're doing 10 million in sales. 1993, we relocated to where we are today, Fridley, Minnesota. And this beautiful setting with the trees and the beautiful lawn. We'll show you a little bit later, it doesn't exist anymore, but it is a beautiful setting, and it's really been a great home for us to thrive. You know, when you start a company at that age, you have an opportunity to build credibility. I think that was an important part of what I needed. I didn't know I needed it then. You know, in the early years, sweeping the floor and doing UPS and what have you, at least doing what you say you're going to do, showing up for work every day after school, school finished around noon every day, and being there every day and staying as long as you needed to stay, started to build credibility with the company. I remember Don was emptying his trash basket, true story, and he said, "You'll have a job here as long as you need one." I thought, what the hell are you talking about? All right, great. You know, so I put his trash can back under his chair. Anyway, but I think I was building credibility. I think that was an important piece. Then I got asked to move upstairs, literally, and do some drafting. So hand drafting of the design work that we were doing. And I learned it in high school. I was really very poor at it. I could hardly print. And the drawings, if you pull them out today, they really did suck. They were pretty bad. But I was the best they had. So I was probably the land of the blind, the one eyed man is king, and I was the one-eyed man of that. But then as 1985, I was graduating from the university, and I looked around for different jobs, and Don said, "Why don't you stay here?" I had really not considered it until that time. And I had started to do some estimating, some other things. And I got my first project, actually it was with Carl Sanderson, out in Edinburgh golf course, but it was an office building. I was the person who drew the drawings, I estimated the project, and I was the project manager. So today in our company, we have about 10 people to get those 3 jobs done. But that's moved on a little bit since then. But that was my first deal, and I started as a project manager. I became vice president in 1993. Whoops, I thought we had a 93 slide. But I became vice president in 1993, and as vice president of operations. And so 5 years later, the next big change happened at Parsons. Don sold the business. So Nationwide Electric, brand new company, formed out of Kansas City Power and Light, was trying to get into non-regulated businesses. So regulated utilities have a lot of rules and laws. Let's invest in some things that we can make some money in and help us. Deregulation was happening big in the utility business at the time, and so it sounded like a good idea. And we were their first acquisition. For those of you history buffs, Google was invented then, so it was just getting started. Apple computer, the iMac, just started, and the company's sales were $55 million, which was an all-time high for the company, and very profitable. So, you know, Don, at the age of 55, sold the business and retired, and we just didn't see that coming. That was a surprise. 3 weeks later, I was named president. Had no intent, no knowledge that I would be president, had no real knowledge that I would be had this opportunity. I wasn't sure I wanted it. Certainly wasn't prepared for it. And from that point on, as you'll see, there was quite a lot of learning that went on after that for a few years. Another good picture of me. I'd already gained much of the weight that I have today. Very shortly thereafter, Bracknell came into the picture. Bracknell's a Canadian multi-trade contractor. So they did mechanical, electrical, millwright, and rigging, probably sales of about $500 million. And they bought this Nationwide business. And Nationwide at that time had already bought 3 more businesses. And so they were several $100 million in sales. And we were now public. So never been public before. We went from being a sleepy little company with one owner to being publicly traded. Our CFO, Mike Northwest, is here today. There are slides in here that we blame him for most of the financial problems. But Mike, again, was thrust into that with me and others to be public. So we have quarterly earnings reports. And, you know, there's a quick story about quarterly earnings reports. Is when you do better than the quarter, you go, wow, great, look at, we're ahead of schedule. Well, you didn't realize that you don't get to use that for the rest of the year. It just means you have to do more that year than you thought. Which we learned that quick and stopped beating the quarterly estimates. You don't get paid for that. Well, public was a big deal. Our sales hit $75 million, so about 50% more than where we started. Then Bracknell bought another big business called Sunbelt, and they had a whole bunch more electrical contractors around the country. But then this sale happened, which was Able Telecom. Able Telecom was part of WorldCom, and for the folks at my age in this room, WorldCom was a starling in the dot-com age, and was just making money hand over fist, and the dot-com bubble was just getting close to bursting. Companies with no income had stock prices that were trading through the roof. And Bracknell, to get their stock price up, wanted to be part of the telecom business. And so they bought this business, huge business, from really what turned out to be, I think the WorldCom CEO is still in jail, I believe, because he did do some things that were illegal. But it was a bad idea, and it didn't look like it at the time, but we tried to then reposition the whole business into this, new economy stuff, and the dot-com bubble was about to burst. So the crisis begins. Now our sales are 100 million, virtually double what we were when we started. We're having record profits. I mean, everybody's happy. We're getting pats on the back for what a wonderful job we're doing running this business. So one thing about when you get bought by a company at X, their intentions are to grow it to Y plus X. It needs to be bigger. There's no doubt in your mind that you want to grow. If you're an entrepreneur, growth is okay. Profitability is better. And as long as the business stays afloat while I'm in charge, that's great. But now we have a different mission. It was really clear we needed to grow. We needed to grow top line and bottom line, and we really tried to do that. It got pretty sophisticated. So our CFO would collect the money, and we'd put it in our bank account at Wells Fargo, and the big company would sweep the money out of the checking account. They do that with all 30 operating companies, and they do that every day. And then our CFO would say, I need some of it back. We got to make payments to suppliers and to our employees. And so we would ask for money back, and they would give it back. Well, starting around April, May, and June of that year, 2001, they stopped giving the money back. Maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, just enough to tide people over, make payroll if you could, but that was basically what was happening. And we even had a foreman in Michigan, because we couldn't get supplies from a supplier out there doing a big, huge project for us, use his own personal credit card. So why would you do that? Is that credibility that was built over the years? We don't know. But they did a lot of things like that. We had folks that really backed us, that said, we understand, it's not your problem, it's Bracknell's problem. It's really hard. We didn't blame them. These people at Bracknell had good intentions. They weren't trying to ruin our business, but they were trying to figure out a way, as this dot-com bubble started to crush, and these assets that they had purchased in Able Telecom. So they had fiber that ran from Salt Lake City to Denver that was worth $100 million. Well, overnight it became worth about $10. Nobody wanted it. It was dark fiber, dot-com bubble had burst. And so those are the kinds of things that were happening to the business. And we would meet with, I would get our office employees together about once a week to just try to give them an update on where we're at. What they could do. Our CFO, Mike Northwest, was a big part of that, trying to just help them guide our way through it. We weren't in control. We were both officers of the business, but had very little to say about what went on. We didn't have the cash. And as they say, cash is king. And don't ever forget that. So we were learning a big lesson. But that was a big part of it. And Bracknell was in this big search for new investors. So somebody to recapitalize and get them through this crisis, and hopefully get past it. And because they had good businesses. A lot of the businesses were very profitable. A lot of the businesses were really taking advantage of what was a great economy at the time. So help to the rescue, a company called J.H. Whitney, a private equity firm, one of the very first in the United States. Private equity firms look for companies to buy that they think they can really help. They are the fastest access to capital that you can find. They have cash, and they have the ability to deploy it quickly. One of the things they were known for is they capitalized Minute Maid orange juice in 1947. I mean, we're just like Minute Maid orange juice, aren't we? Yeah. So we went out there. Bracknell folks brought us out there, and we met with Peter Castleman, the president and partner of J.H. Whitney, and talked to him about our business, and in small groups, just a couple of us at a time, told them about all the wonderful things we were doing, all the progress we had made, all the growth that we had, all the new things we had learned as part of this big company. And then we were walking out the door, and he said, gosh, you guys really have a great business. There's just no way in heck we're ever gonna do this, just so you know, but I think you're gonna be fine. So they said, there's a reason I told that story. So being a part of a public company, that means everybody knows what's going on. So we had competitors going to our customers and saying to them, boy, Parsons is in trouble. And they say, wow, gosh, they don't seem like they're in trouble. They pay their, they're still working on their projects. Their folks are showing up every day. They're doing the work. Well, look at the stock. Look at the headlines. Look what's going on. This is one of the headlines. It shows that they defaulted on the debt, that they're looking for extra cash, and they had a loss of $274 million. That's a lot of money. A lot of that was due to the write-downs of those assets I mentioned earlier. But it sure looks, those are big numbers, and big numbers especially in the kind of numbers we're used to talking about. So the slide continued. There was the stock price, and one of the benefits of being a public company is we all had stock. Wonderful. Hey, we actually had people saying, don't forget about 9/11. So one of the things, stock price is going down. They're looking to recapitalize the business. Literally on the day that there was a big meeting with some banks out in New York, 9/11 happened. So then the price went down to 52 cents. During the conference call with teachers' retirement out of Canada, to recapitalize the business, the stock went from $3 to 52 cents. That, no need to say that deal didn't happen, as the teachers folks said, we're done. Great time to buy, like I said. We did have some employees. I thought I was being very open and honest and telling people about the business. We did have a couple of employees come in and say, I'd like to buy more stock. And actually the guy who was taking the slip said, just so you know, this is the pile of people selling stock, and there's nobody in the buy pile. Are you sure you're getting good advice? So he said, forget it. I mean, take that back. So November 2nd, so basically just a couple of days after Halloween, that's a Friday, this headline came out, and the board of directors resigned at Breckdown. So that means we no longer have a fiduciary board who could do the things that you need to do to recapitalize the business. As officers of Parsons, part of another company, we have no control. We have really no leader officially. Now, in the United States, if the board of directors would resign like that, they would be in big trouble. Fiduciarily, they would be in big trouble. But in Canada, the laws are different, and they needed to resign, which is a matter of due course in their program of basically filing bankruptcy. But we were on our own, and it was actually pretty refreshing. It was really the first time that we felt that now it's really up to us. Does that make sense? So we had the weekend, because nothing's going to happen over the weekend. And we needed them to really get into figuring out what was our options. And so we tried to look at how could we buy it. We had exactly about $0, so we knew that was going to be tough. Between us, I think we probably had 10 grand anyway. So, and so we didn't have any money, but we kept trying to figure out ways, and we got a call from the Whitney folks. And they said, and by the way, private equity loves distress. They love to enter into a situation when you really need it. So they were there and they wanted to buy some businesses, and they tried to help us with that. Let me just see. So they started talking to us. And week one was that first Monday. We did not have enough money to make payroll on Tuesday. Now, we had 800 field electricians at the time. We're doing some of the biggest work in the Twin Cities and around the country. And it was full employment. We had tons of people from out of town working here. This is just a great economy. These folks weren't going to work very long without pay, no matter how dedicated they were. But Monday, in the morning mail, came a check for about $1.5 million from one of our customers who wasn't aware of what was going on, apparently. I say that. And so we cashed it as quick as we could. And we paid payroll week one. Week two comes around, and we again don't have enough money to make payroll. Whitney's talking to us, saying we want to buy 5 of the businesses. We're working on it. It's 10 banks that have this $400 million debt that they want to get paid back for, and they want to buy the 5 best businesses of the portfolio. And they want to pay almost nothing for it. So it's a really interesting thing. And I remember in week two, at lunch, getting a call saying the deal's off. It's not gonna happen. But Joel, don't forget, a lot of times these deals fall down, but they come back. Oh, great, well, we'll try to take some solace in that. We again got money at the last minute to make payroll on week 2. Week 3, that Monday, Whitney says, deal's back on, how much money do you need to make payroll? And they gave us, I don't know, like about $800,000. Without a deal being done, they fronted $800,000 if we make payroll to the 3rd week. Nobody is paying us now, by the way, because everybody knows that Parsons is trying to figure this out. So we have a great balance sheet. We've got 35 or 40 million in receivables and about 10 million in payables. We've got a wonderful balance sheet, but absolutely no cash. Whitney fronts the money. That Wednesday, the deal got done. Now these attorneys for these 2 sides worked literally 7 days a week for those 2 weeks and got a deal done. And that deal, 5 businesses from 10 banks, about $50 million, and happy Thanksgiving because it was done. We were recapitalized. Now we had to figure out what to do next. But we sure had a chance because we were finally free to use that receivables and get the business rolling. And basically Whitney had to put almost 0 into the business after that. The business was in great shape. So a lot of things were learned. We tried to be honest with the facts. We tried not to speculate. It was really hard not to think that, hey, here we are. I've been president for almost 3 years. I know a lot. I was sweeping the floor not that many years ago. And I really had no clue what to do, other than to just try to say what you know and be honest with people. We would meet with suppliers. We'd say some of the biggest suppliers in the nation, and they're owed money by lots of Bracknell companies across the country. And we tell them our story. We tell them why we thought it was going to work. This is all pre-Whitney finalizing the deal. And to the T, every one of them cut us off that day, except for one, Barber Electric in St. Paul. So somebody believed in us, and kept us going. So. You don't just keep telling people all the news all the time. So you try to be honest with them and tell them, but you really have to be available. I'm not marching around the company telling everybody I don't know anything. I don't know anything new, I don't know anything new. Rather have them not know what's going on than know nothing. But if they have a question, we were available. We always told them. We had these meetings every week. And that was a big learning lesson, to be very open and honest there. Having people rooting for you. We have some great folks in the audience today that supported us through all this. Our suppliers wanted us to survive. Our customers wanted us to survive. Our employees wanted us to survive. And so that's a big deal. And I think that made a difference. We were always trying to be respectful. Again, Bracknell did not try to ruin this business. We saw all those things that happened, and the dot-com bubble was probably predictable by some, but I thought it was going to end 5 years before it did, and it didn't. So it happened, and they got caught in the crosshairs. So timing was probably the worst part. One of the biggest lessons was don't take too much credit. Almost nothing worthwhile is done alone, and we didn't do this. I didn't do this, so I'll make sure that's clear. So where are we today? Let me close with a few slides. This is our Fridley headquarters. We've taken out all the trees and put in a parking lot. We have lots of parking needs. Definitely filled the building. And we are in almost every market in the country. We travel around the country doing hospitals from really sea to shining sea, mission critical data centers for some of the big internet companies, from a lot of the Fortune 10 companies, Fortune 50 companies in Minnesota here. We do sports and recreation projects all over the country. Industrial projects, we've been at a refinery in St. Paul for 25 years. We continue to serve them. We do industrial projects all over the country. We're a huge employer in the Twin Cities. We have these black and white vans. Some of them are white now. We've got several brands that we operate under. But we have this black and white symbol. Most people know us by the black and white van. That's a big part of our business. We have this business called Parsons Technologies. So in 2000, we got in the technology business, as I mentioned. It was a big Bracknell initiative. It really did start a great opportunity for us. And this business has started out as just a networking business doing cables and making sure these laptops and things work. And now it's really full-fledged audiovisual and large sports business, doing sports stadiums all over the country. You can't read all this, but that's the sports stadiums that we've been involved with in probably the last 5 years. We're proud to say that we provided a new sound system for the NFL champion Denver Broncos and the runner-up, the Carolina Panthers. We provided the sound system, broadcast system, security systems for the NHL champion Pittsburgh Penguins. We provided the new sound system right before LeBron James got to the champion Cleveland Cavaliers. So we also did the Twins. You can see how our impact was on that this year. And the Vikings. So maybe we're responsible for the Vikings. But that's a huge part of our business now. And the US Bank Stadium was a big project for us, well over $100 million, our contract. We had a partner in town that we worked with, but we did all the technology, all the electrical. The digital antenna system allows your cell phone to work most of the time. The Wi-Fi system that you can plug into, the broadcast systems that allow television and TV to be able to broadcast the games, the replay systems that we helped install. Just a huge, huge part of the business, a very different business than what we were back in those days of crisis. And our business is the business unit leaders, our profit centers, are run by Wendy Busalis, runs our technologies business. Wendy's down at the Bucks right now trying to beg for a job. And Tierney Arhip runs a business called ECS. It's a national maintenance business that does fire sprinkler and electrical maintenance for large facilities throughout the U.S. And Rick Anderson is our vice president of our service group. He's really responsible for those black and white vans. And then David Nielsen is responsible for our electrical construction business nationwide. We operate with all those logos under the bottom there, all part of our brand that we call Parsons. We just celebrated, about every 3 years we go up to Grandview and have a big celebration about our success. And it's really a big, big, big thank you to the folks in the field that really do what we get paid for. And we've never stopped realizing that people who make the money in the business are the folks that do what we get paid for, and that's installing, designing, and installing things. They don't pay us for what I do. We don't think we do is unimportant, making sure we have the capital, making sure we have all the proper insurances and all those things to help, but it's a great big thank you. We had 426 people attend this leadership conference in Grandview, and we celebrated all the field and all the success and all these brands that we call home, and it really eschewed this value system. We operate in several locations. We have a business called ASI that's in Rochester, Minnesota, and Golden Valley. We have MEI, Moorhead Electric in Fargo. We moved them to Fargo, so we call it MEI, and they have technology and electrical. We're doing the largest hospital, one of the largest hospitals in the country right now, Stanford, about 1 million square feet. That's just about complete. And then we have offices in Virginia, Minnesota, Duluth, Minnesota, our Fridley headquarters in St. Paul as well. We have a tool warehouse in Fridley, and then we have a small office in Phoenix. I'll close with our mission. This was created in 2003, and you talk about culture of a business. We think this embodied, it was done with a whole bunch of employees. We think this embodied the way we thought we were. We use it now to really test ourselves, to find out, are we operating this way? Is integrity really the core of what we believe? Are people acting that way? There's a lot of things in construction that you can take that people think are great. We work very hard to make sure that things are very black and white. Hence you get the pun on the van. That was intense. One of the things our employees really appreciate is the fact that we're dedicated to their success as well as our customers' success. We have many people in the company. Steve Stone, who is a Dunwoody graduate, he was an acquisition person, and we bought a company in 1983. He was a field electrician on a service van, became the service van superintendent, then became vice president, actually project manager, and then vice president, and then owner. And we have many stories like that at Parsons. We're going to celebrate our 90th year next year. And we're really glad we got through that crisis to see what this company could become. And we've been selling the stock of the business to the next generation so that it can be employee-owned and be a company that'll last many years to come. And thank you, that's all I have.